Right now, I'm going to tell you a horror story. This one comes from our community member. Our community member and her partner decided to purchase a fixer-upper home in a quiet neighborhood. It was a big house. 3 stories had been built over 100 years ago. The previous owner had covered up all the beautiful original details with cheap paneling and linoleum. But when the couple removed these things, they found themselves presented with a gorgeous house, just as it had been left by the previous owners. The Carringtons, a family of 5. There were pictures of them everywhere, but it seemed like they'd vanished into thin air, leaving their home seemingly abandoned. The only thing they turned up was a local legend, a story told by the real estate agent that made Sam and Alex's skin crawl. As for the names they found, they assumed that this was some kind of sick joke played by the previous owner. But after researching local records, they found that none of the names they discovered belonged to anyone who had lived in the house. Not the Carringtons, not Martha, Elizabeth, Eleanor, Thomas, William, or George. None of those people had ever lived here, yet their names were carved into the walls as though they had. Had they been followed home? Were they being stalked? Sam and Alex ran from the house, slamming the door behind them and running as fast as they could, as far as they could. The story went that every 100 years or so, a phantom family would move into the old Carrington house. But when they returned that evening, it happened again. The whispering started up, the temperature dropped, and frost spread across the windows. They ran away again, seeking refuge in a nearby motel. But this is where our story takes a turn. But when they opened the door, everything appeared normal. On it was a list of names. They were the names that had been carved into the walls, but now there was one more, Alex's name, and beneath it was today's date. The whispering had stopped, and the temperature had returned to normal. They would strip the house, tear it down, and start again. If they couldn't sell the house with all those names carved into the walls, they would build a new one on its foundation. If you want to hear more, please follow for more content. And until next time, happy haunting. But when they arrived, they saw that the house was empty. Every window was shattered, and the walls were bare. All that remained of the whispers was an echo in their heads. Nothing had changed. It looked exactly as it had when they'd left. For a week, Sam and Alex stayed away from their house, barricading themselves in a hotel room, too afraid to go home. But eventually they had to return. Their work, their belongings, their entire life was there, and they couldn't stay away forever. Could they? Behind each name, almost invisible, was a date. The dates spanned from the year 1895 to the present day. That was a long time for a secret to be kept. They could hear footsteps now, too heavy and slow, dragging themselves closer. Then they felt the temperature in the room change. It grew colder, much colder. And right before their eyes, a thick layer of frost spread across the glass panes of the window. They would live there for a time, and then one day they would disappear, never to be seen again. And each time the house was sold, the buyer would find new names carved into the walls. Names that matched the people who had gone missing from the neighborhood that very same month. No forwarding address could be found, and the real estate agent had no answers. The new owners, we'll call them Sam and Alex, were excited about their new home, even if it did come with a few mysteries. Now, as they began stripping away the layers of cheap decor, they started hearing whispers in the walls. They'd used these to help identify the names they'd found carved into the lath. But the face that had stared back at them from the photograph didn't match the name they'd discovered. The woman in the picture had red hair, freckled skin, and a warm smile. The name they'd found carved in the wall, however, was Eleanor. And Eleanor had dark hair, dark skin, and cold, soulless eyes. At first, they thought it was just the settling of an old house, but then they heard what sounded like conversations between 2 men. In one room, they found the name Eleanor, which must have been the mother's name, and in another, they found the name Elizabeth. Then in the attic, they found the name Martha. All the initials were the same size and style. Clearly, the children had carved their names here, along with their parents. But what happened to them? Where were they now? Just voices, nothing more. One day, while removing wallpaper, they discovered something hidden behind it. The wallpaper had been hung over something else, something that shouldn't have been there. The room was the children's room, Or at least it was the room where the Carringtons' two boys had slept. And behind the wallpaper, they saw that the boys had carved their names into the lath of the wall. One boy's name was William Carrington, the other's Thomas Carrington. Their father's name they knew was George Carrington, but there was no carving for his name, nor for their mother's. They peeled off more wallpaper, finding more names. Sam and Alex searched for records, but couldn't find any sign of the Carrington family. Sam and Alex didn't believe in ghosts, so they chalked the whispers and the walls up to some trick of their old house. But why, and how long had they been there? Peeling away the final strips of wallpaper, Sam and Alex finally uncovered the truth. Then they saw something even stranger. While researching the history of their house, Sam and Alex had found photographs of the original owners. As they stood there looking at the wall, suddenly the voices they'd been hearing grew louder. Terror seized them. Who was in their house? Is this the ghost family from the local legend? Some might say that this is where the story ends, that they simply moved away, never to return to that house. As they drove home, they prepared themselves for whatever horrors might await them, bracing for a repeat of the terrifying events from the previous day. Relieved, Sam and Alex went about their day, trying to forget about the strange occurrences from the day before. This time, they decided that they had nothing to lose. And then they saw something in the dust on the floor. A single sheet of paper. Hope you enjoyed that horror story.